자, 이렇게 엄마와 아기의 심박수를 애플와치로 잴 수 있는 게 의미하는 바가 뭘까요? 내용 먼저 보시죠.
Now, when the test is done, she can simply send all that data from her watch back to her doctor. And then later that evening, she gets a message from the doctor telling her, I've read your NST, your baby's doing just fine. So Airstrip plus Apple Watch together will redefine how messaging and communication occurs in healthcare. Thank you very much.
다음 부분 보시면 Now when the test is done, 테스트가 끝나면 she can simply send, 그냥 보내기만 하면 됩니다. All the data, 모든 데이터를요. From her watch, 애플워치에서 back to her doctor, 주치의한테로요. 이런 뜻이었습니다. Now when test done 이죠. Now when test done, 메인스톤 이렇게 가요. 통으로 넣으면 Now when the test is done. Now when the test is done.
Now, when the test is done,
Now when the test is done. 그 다음 she can simply send입니다. can 안 누르고 she can simply send.
she can simply send
She can simply send all the data인데요. 여러분 어를 발음하실 때는 항상 아래턱 내려서 all the data입니다. all the data,
all that data
all the data from her watch. watch 이 모양 아시죠? from her watch.
from her watch
from her watch back to her doctor. 자, back 할 때 A 들어가 있으니까 이 크게 벌리셔서 back to her doctor.
back to her doctor.
back to her doctor. 다시.
Now, when the test is done,
Now when the test is done,
she can simply send all that data
she can simply send all the data
from her watch back to her doctor.
from her watch back to her doctor. 크게 세 번.
Now, when the test is done, she can simply send all that data from her watch
back
to her doctor. Now, when the test is done, she can simply send all that data from her watch back to her doctor. Now, when the test is done, she can simply send all that data from her watch back to her doctor. Now, when the test is done, she can simply send all that data from her watch back to her doctor.
자, 그 다음 부분은요. And then later that evening, 그날 저녁 늦게 she gets a message from the doctor. 주치의에게 메시지를 받게 됩니다. 뭐라고 말하는 메시지냐면 I read your NST, 태동 검사 기록을 NST라고 해요. NST를 내가 읽었는데 Your baby is doing just fine. 아기 상태가 아주 좋아요 라는 뜻입니다. 위에 보시면 And then later that evening 하고 later 하고 evening 막 누르고 있죠. 자, 우리가 굉장히 자주 쓰는 단어 evening, 이를 많이 누르셔야 됩니다. And then later that evening.
And then later that evening,
And then later that evening. 그 다음 she gets a message 하고 she gets가 빨리 가고 message를 누르고 있어요. 자, 요거 가볼까요? message. 매 많이 누르셨죠? 넣어서 a message. 자, gets 넣어서 gets a message. she 넣어서 she gets a message. 한 번 더. she gets a message.
she gets a message
She gets a message from the doctor.
from the doctor.
From the doctor. telling her. 헐 안 누르고 telling만 강조해서 telling her. telling her I read. 자, read라고 스펠링이 똑같지만 과거형이기 때문에 발음은 read입니다. I read your NST 하고 N하고 T만 누르세요. I read your NST.
I've read your NST.
I read your NST. Your baby's doing just fine. 여러분 just fine이 아니라 just까지만 발음하셔서 just fine입니다. Your baby's doing just fine.
Your baby's doing just fine.
Your baby's doing just fine. 처음부터.
And then later that evening,
And then later that evening,
she gets a message from the doctor.
she gets a message from the doctor. she 누르시는 거 아니에요? 저랑 한 번만 더 시작. She gets a message from the doctor.
Telling her, I've read your NST.
Telling her, I read your NST.
Your baby's doing just fine.
Your baby's doing just fine. 세 번 크게 가세요.
And then later that evening, she gets a message from the doctor.
Telling her, I read your NST. Your baby's doing just fine. And then
later that evening, she gets a message from the doctor. Telling her,
I read
I've
your
read your
NST. 크게
your
가세요.
baby's doing just
마지막.
fine.
And
And then later that evening, she gets a message from the doctor. Telling her,
I read
I've
your
read your
NST. Your
your
baby's doing just fine.
And then later that evening, she gets a message from the doctor. Telling her, I've read your NST. Your baby's doing just fine.
그 다음 내용 보시면 그래서 에어스트립하고 애플와치는 together 함께 will redefine 재정의할 것입니다. How messaging and communication occurs in healthcare. 건강관리에서 occur 발생하는 환자와 주치의 간의 메시지를 주고받는 것과 communication 요것을 에어스트립과 애플와치가 재정의하게 될 것입니다. 라는 내용이었습니다. 첫 부분 So airstrip plus Apple Watch together 다 누르고 있죠. 쉬운데요. together에서 together이 아니라 together 이렇게 개를 누르는 것만 주의하세요. So airstrip plus Apple Watch together.
So airstrip plus Apple Watch together.
So airstrip plus Apple Watch together. 그 다음 메시지를 다 강조하고 싶어서 이 스피커가 will마저 강조하고 있습니다. Will redefine 두 군데 눌러요. Will redefine.
Will redefine.
Will redefine. 그 다음은요. How messaging. 매를 누르고요. And communication. Communication 두 군데 눌러요. How messaging and communication occurs. 뒤에 악센트 있습니다. Occurs in healthcare. How messaging and communication occurs in healthcare. 저랑 같이 시작. How messaging and communication occurs in healthcare.
How messaging and communication occurs in healthcare.
How messaging and communication occurs in healthcare. 처음부터.
So airstrip plus Apple Watch together.
So airstrip plus Apple Watch together
Will redefine.
will redefine
How messaging and communication occurs in healthcare.
how messaging and communication occurs in healthcare. 세 번. So
airstrip
plus Apple Watch together will redefine how messaging and communication occurs in healthcare. So airstrip plus Apple Watch together will redefine how messaging and communication occurs. 마지막이에요. So airstrip plus Apple Watch together will redefine how messaging and communication occurs in healthcare.
So airstrip plus Apple Watch together will redefine how messaging and communication occurs in healthcare.
자막 없이 통으로 보고 오세요.
Now, when the test is done, she can simply send all that data from her watch back to her doctor. And then later that evening, she gets a message from the doctor telling her, I've read your NST, your baby's doing just fine. So airstrip plus Apple Watch together will redefine how messaging and communication occurs in healthcare. Thank you very much.
잘 들으셨죠? 오늘도 수고 많으셨습니다.